Okay, welcome back. Aaron Adams here with Infinity Investing. We are at the second video for our Intermediate Mistakes series. On the last one, we covered a very important topic of starting your business versus growing your team, and how important it is to think about that topic specifically to avoid a lot of intermediate investor mistakes that I see. The next three that I want to cover in this segment are all kind of very important lessons that I've learned that people tend to repeat. And the first one has to do with marketing. And I remember 21 years ago when I had left my job teaching at the high school and was officially self-employed, working on my own. I hated the idea of spending money on marketing because there's huge question mark about how much business you're going to get back from it. So I was printing off my own business cards at one point because I didn't want, that was back 20 years ago. Business cards were a standard thing that business owners had to do, but I didn't want to spend $500 on business cards because I felt like that was a waste of money. Why not just buy the sheets at Kinko's and print them off on my home printer? And so I ended up with an inferior, cheap looking business card. And, the one thing I was trying to accomplish by having a business card was to add to the professionalism of my business because I was still working from home. And I find that this is a microcosm of a very common mistake that investors get themselves into. Let's say you're a wholesaler and you spend $2,000 for a direct mail campaign, and you send out letters or postcards, and you get a deal from it. And what I find people do is they, or maybe you're really lucky and you get 5 deals. And business owners don't have realistic expectations about repeatability. And so they'll be like, well, if I can't get five deals from here on out, I'm not going to spend $2,000 on marketing. Instead of saying, well, what's the most amount that I would be willing to spend on marketing to get 1 deal? And then what's another completely different way that I could approach this? Maybe I'd be better off paying someone to knock on doors, and maybe I only have to pay out $1,000 for somebody to go knock on people's doors to try to get deals. I see people skimp on their website or their Facebook business page, or they skimp on marketing or direct marketing. And so not only do I see people trying to skimp at the front end of their business, but then once they have an established business, they don't continue to reinvest a certain percentage of money back into marketing. And so it's just a common thing. I know that it's hard to do, and I know that you're going 10 different ways. You're trying to, pay for employees. You're trying to pay for overhead. You're paying for mistakes that you've made. You're trying to take some money home and pay yourself. And the last thing you want to do is waste money on marketing. But not marketing or under marketing is a big mistake that I find that investors do. So you just have to think of it in terms of a percentage and always spend that money, just like you do on insurance. You don't consider not getting insurance. You shouldn't consider. You want to think of marketing dollars the same way. Now, the next mistake that I see investors make is they become a one-trick pony. And let's say that you have done really well flipping mobile homes or flipping single-family homes, or you did a couple of apartment complexes, or you built new construction, or what I find is whatever helped you make the first $500,000 in profits, you tend to overly favor that going forward. And every 8 to 10 years, opportunities change completely, and what's great right now sucks down the road. And so people just ride that horse until it doesn't work anymore, and then they're scrambling. And what you should be thinking about as an investor is when things are good is when you should be diversifying. And so don't wait to make $500,000 or $1 million and then that opportunity dries up, because real estate changes. What's hot right now could be a completely loser opportunity. I mean, think about COVID. We were doing really well at foreclosure auctions, but COVID kind of eliminated foreclosure auctions, and so our whole shift had to be to pre-foreclosure. And if we didn't know how to market in pre-foreclosure, we'd be dying right now. And so, learning you want to think about your business knowledge as a tool belt, and each strategy that you acquire, flipping, remodeling, new construction, conversion of usage, all of those different kinds of strategies in real estate become your backup plans and become the different ways that you're making money. And so you want to be proactive about learning that when things are good. And so just like with marketing, you want to be marketing at all times. You also want to be learning and testing and practicing a new strategy at all times. And when you get in the habit of doing both of those things, you'll find that you never run out of options in either case. The third area that I find intermediate investors make, and I was certainly guilty of this, is you think about tax, legal, and insurance as low value activities, as not critical to your business. And it's true. Tax, legal, and insurance don't tend to make you money. But now that you have an established business, now that you're in this intermediate phase, when you're first starting out, you just want to prove to yourself and to everyone around you and show that you can make money and make profit. And in the intermediate phase, the next growth step is that the mistake would be to not focus enough on these three things. And let me just spend a minute on each one. You have to set up a series of LLCs, S Corps, and C Corps. And if you don't set those up, then you're going to be paying too much in taxes. All wealthy people take expenses that they normally would have spent out of their personal account, like their car, and they make that become an expense of the business. And why would you do that? Because when you start making money, when you make $200,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year, then you jump into that 40% tax bracket. And so if you're putting $2,000 a month into your personal account and then making a lease payment on a car, you're doing it wrong. You want to have a business set up to where you can lease the car in the business's name and have those payments be made from the business pre-tax. You don't want to have to make $2,500, $2,600 to afford the $2,000 monthly payment because you're doing it out of your personal account with after-tax dollars. And so you need to set up that structure. It's complicated. You're going to need a bookkeeper, but it pencils. It's worth it. I mean, look, if you could potentially give, because you've legally and created are running more expenses through your business, that's tens of thousands of dollars you don't have to send to the IRS. You certainly can afford a bookkeeper. You certainly can afford that potential hassle of having money in these different businesses. Legal is the same way. You want to be establishing your legal relationships before you have a lawsuit. And so whether it's finding an eviction attorney who also does collections, or whether it's finding a real estate litigation attorney who specializes in litigation, I mean, you really kind of need three types of attorneys, maybe even four if you count a tax attorney, as a real estate investor. You need someone who can help you do evictions. That's usually just a flat fee. Doesn't have to be very skilled. They just have to know the local laws, the state laws, the specific way for evictions to take place. Okay, pretty specialized, more than what you would think. And ideally, they have some kind of collections component. You want a litigator. You want somebody who can deal with, who's familiar with landlord-tenant laws, who is comfortable working, in the insurance space. You want a litigator that can go into court and has a track record of being successful at that. You need an attorney, ideally someone who's an expert in contracts, who can help you create contracts, who can help advise you on contracts. And then you need your tax attorney. So if you need to have that put together at the national and local level, because some of it's more locally focused, like your eviction attorney. You don't want a national firm to be helping you with evictions. You want that to be at the local level. And ideally, you want a firm that specializes in evictions helping you out with that. And insurance is the same way. At our 3-day training that we have run in Indianapolis, I introduced my students to an insurance broker. You want to work with an insurance broker for a lot of the same reasons that you work with a mortgage broker, because they have the ability to write policies for many different types of insurance and with a lot of different carriers. And I have found that the insurance relationships that I have become as critical to my business success as the legal and the tax. So all three of those important. They don't make you money, but they help you keep your money, and they help you minimize the losses that you could incur from litigation, from claims, from audits, because you've put that team in place. So now that you're at the intermediate phase, don't make the mistake of neglecting those things. It's an important partnership that you need to have and that you need to set up, and you need to get that lined up. So hopefully these have been valuable for you. You're going to want to stick with us for the third part in this series, where we go through my final 3 common mistakes that intermediate investors make. So if you have access to that, love to have you hop on right now, and we'll jump right in on that.